Recording is on.
Dice di sì, che possiamo cominciare.
Can we start with the prayer?
Sì, vai.
Sì? Let us stand again. Da qua.
Tony beginning, no?
Girati.
We bless you, Heavenly Father, Almighty God, Eternal King, for the joy to meet together like this through the wonders of the technology you've given to us. Grant to us an ear open and desire, above all, that you be glorified and your will be done. We ask you this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Well, Francesco, Gianna, we have organized practically in the cities where we have the communities, the brothers are gathering together. So we are here in Sydney in the seminary. They are in Melbourne in a parish. They are in Canberra, in Perth, in Darwin. Practically, we have communities in Sydney, Canberra, Adelaide, Perth, Broome, Darwin, and Brisbane. They are all connected. Eh? And so we you are. She is Gianna. There is a psychologist that is helping us in this process, and Father Francesco that is there. That is the rector. He's been itinerant in Africa, rectors in different parts, and now he's the rector of the Seminary Redentorismate of Rome. We are ready to listen to you. Okay?
Okay, can you hear me? All right. Gianna asked me to start introducing a bit this meeting. It is now, well, several years, I don't remember anymore, 3, 4 at least, since we began to try to help a problem that is becoming more. There is some noise. Yeah, okay.
What's this thing called?
Something happening. Yeah.
What's the
Sort of. Okay. Well, trying to connect. A problem that is growing. The problem connected with addiction, particularly the trigger, the starting point was addiction to pornography and other similar addictions connected with internet. Not only pornography, but also later on gambling and similar things. This pushed Father Mario to ask Gianna to devise some instruments that could help people in that condition, experiencing that condition. I'm not going to start giving you statistics and things like that. You can read plenty of that all over now, because in these few years, these last 5 or more years, the problem has been growing worldwide. There are big Episcopal conferences who started writing, reflecting on this problem among lay people, among priests and things like that. There is a growing awareness of this problem that is touching not only young people, surely young people, but anyone working with young people having a certain degree of confidence realizes that spending huge amount of time on the internet, particularly with the smartphones and things like that, is practically everywhere, is a problem very much widespread. But it's touching adults, it's touching couples, it's touching men, but also women, etc. It's a serious difficulty that we are experiencing. The very quick development of technology in this sense has been pushing. People have been trying to create an addiction in people because it's a way of keeping us hooked to these devices, spending time offline, becoming the target of ads, news, messages, advertising, and all these things. You know these things. I'm not going to waste much time in saying this. Inside the way, we realized that the problem existed. From the occasional person who spoke with the catechist, well, I have a problem with internet, I have a problem with pornography, etc., became more and more a widespread problem, a widespread situation. And Father Mario was concerned with this, asked Gianna, can we propose something? Gianna had some familiarity with AA and the 12 steps of AA that works with different sort of addictions. Started some groups in presence, and after came the pandemic, came the COVID, etc., that obliged people to stay at home, pushed people to spend more and more time connected with the internet. There was a huge growth of the problem, but also this situation pushed Gianna to start having groups online. That was something new. AA has never been working online before. And we have seen that somehow this thing has been helping people. Helping to do what? Because that's the question. When one is faced with this, becomes hooked into addiction, has the big temptation of trying to solve the problem by himself, with an effort, with doing something, etc. And the first real step that is necessary is to accept that we cannot get out of an addiction that is start becoming serious by ourselves. We need coming out from that, speaking with someone, seeking the help of somebody else. What do this group offer? They offer an environment where a person who experiences addiction can speak about his difficulties with other people, discovering that he's not alone, and accepting the reality that is falling over and over again and facing that. And the first point is really a rendition, a surrender, saying, I realized that by myself, I cannot get out of this. Because here again, I don't want to enter into medical stuff, etc. There is an addiction as a mechanism that is not simply a sin, is surely a sin, but is something that hooks us, traps us into repeating this act again and again. As if this on one side lowers the responsibility of a single act, but this doesn't solve the problem. We still need to receive help to get out. We cannot destroy our life because these things arrive at a point of destroying people's life. It's serious. So if we accept that this is something that traps us, we need some help. There are several helps. There are people who find help in groups with a psychologist, things like that. But we have seen that this simple reality of a group in which regularly, at the beginning every day, a person can speak with the others, recognize his difficulties, listen to other people's experiences, and move on slowly, step by step, in recognizing his limits, becoming aware of the damages creating to others, etc., etc., etc. Ajahn can explain this better later. We have seen the experience during the years of COVID showed that these groups can work also online. The fundamental point is if a person really has realized how serious the problem is and wants to quit. Because it is not easy at all. It is not magic. It is not something that works in few weeks. It's a long, long process and requires faithfulness to be there day after day, recognizing falls, recognizing relapses, starting up again, standing up again, sharing one's difficulties in the group. We have seen that these groups done in this way online, why are we proposing them inside the Neocatechumenal Way? This is not something born from the Neocatechumenal Way. We have simply seen that this is something that doesn't collide, doesn't crash with the fact of participating in the community, doesn't cause difficulties in that sense, can go alongside the fact of continuing the way. It is fundamental that a person suffering of addiction may be able to find a help and at the same time continue in the Neocatechumenal Way. Sometimes one goes to a psychologist and tells you very strange things that puts you in crisis with the way. These groups are not going to do this for sure. Having said so, what are these groups doing? Surely they are helping people who have entered into a vicious circle of relapses and problems that is making their life real hell. And this happens. Participating in the group, if one is faithful, helps you to control this situation. to lower the number of falls, possibly to have long times of sobriety, etc. Don't think that is something, oh well, I spend a week without watching pornography, I'm out. No, not even a month, not even 2, not even 3. It's a long process. But one maybe falls again, is a problem, but can stand up, start again, etc. Continuing at the same time the way. And the fact that the situation is a bit more under control helps you also to listen more in the community. And the grace of God has to work and help us. But we need this confronting ourselves day after day with this problem. It's not something that is going to pass like that. I say this because it's important that we do not create illusions. This magically makes all these things disappear. But helps us to fight together with others, have patience, recognize who we are, and putting this thing a bit more under control in order to be able to continue. Make some choices in life, avoid situations that cause us to relapse, and be faithful in the community, with the catechists, with the brothers, etc. This we have seen that has been helpful. Having said so, has been also very important the fact that also through speaking about these groups, many brothers have become more and more aware of this problematic. The society itself is becoming more aware of these problematics. Recent news, court cases against social organization of internet social like Meta of X or Twitter or Instagram or things like that, realizing that it's important, for example, to protect our young people and our children. Something that I always say is, considering that we are seeing that coming out of these addictions is something difficult and serious, becomes more and more important to help young people not to fall into them, not to be blind to the fact that putting a smartphone in the hands of a boy or a girl, a first communion or things like that, is something crazy. Is really putting them at enormous risks. I have the experience of speaking with people easily accept these things in theory, but after you see, oh, everybody else is doing it, my child will find the only odd person without a smartphone in the class, etc., etc. Well, we need to be able to answer to that. We need to be able to create a network of people who have the same ideas and can help each other, can help in the school, can help putting the children in a situation of being free by the need of being continuously on the internet, free from the need of having a smartphone, etc., etc., controlling all that in the house. The parents themselves give the example to the young people. We cannot have smartphones with us at night in the bedroom, for example. Seems a simple thing, but try to do it. It's not easy. But even having a meeting with this, listening to the experience of other people, realizing how serious it is when one falls into this addiction, will help us to be a bit more ready to fight. Because it's a serious fight that we have in our society today. So I say, okay with the groups. The groups are there to help patch the situation, to help support people who have developed this addiction, and slowly, very slowly, can help them even to come out, but it's not easy. They help them to control this, but particularly they should help us all to be aware that we need to protect ourselves, our children, our young people from the risks connected with the digital world, social, etc. There is everything. I think you have read enough about these things. I always mention something that I'm speaking of the many years ago. I was in London at the time when smartphones started going around and started that phenomenon of sexting in the schools. And there was an article of a porn star of the 90s that the title was Parents Wake Up. It was saying, I've looked into the smartphone of my granddaughter that is in the primary school, and I've seen the sort of images that the girls are sending to each other in the primary school. And I tell you that when I was doing pornographic movies, I would not have accepted to shoot something like that for a lot of money. And now girls are doing this with each other. And this is long time ago. Now the situation is much worse. And we need to be aware of this. We need to be aware. And I'm speaking about pornography because it's something that, in a sense, is very widespread and touches us, but there is a lot more. There is all these devices have been programmed and conceived to keep people hooked to them. And young people are particularly vulnerable. And becoming hooked means becoming hooked also with things connected with money. So gambling is something that comes more and more as a problem, even among young people, and many other things, and compulsive shopping and all that. So this addiction and internet is something that goes intrinsically together, and we need to be able to face all this with serenity, but also knowing that we are helping also people to rediscover a whole part of life that internet is somehow choking, reducing. Young people, they don't connect to each other personally, in person. I mean, they spend a lot of time connected through social, and then there is the whole phenomenon of bullying and all these things like that. So awareness in this sense and helping each other beside the groups is also important to establish a covenant among adults, first of all, helping each other to really, if someone has doubt, if someone is weaker, if someone is tempted to say, well, but everybody does it. Yes, but everybody is destroying their own life. This is the reality. And perhaps we can help each other to move in a different direction and limit these things. And the other thing is a covenant with the young people. I'm speaking particularly to parents. Don't give up. Don't give in to the temptation of saying everybody does it, is unavoidable, is normal that my 14, 15 4-year-old spends 3, 4, 5, 6 hours a day on the smartphone. No, it's not necessary. It's not unavoidable. You can go by step, teaching as you teach your children to defend themselves from many other problems in life. They need to learn to handle this. You have to teach your child to cross the road. You have to teach your child to do many things, but we have to teach your children also to relate with this digital world. And there are ages where a child is not able to face this. We have to accept that, without now putting laws and things in the way. We don't give smartphone to the children before that age or that age. It's always too soon anyway. But that you find your way in this sense, supporting each other. And also learn to establish a covenant with your children, that your children know that you too, in a sense, are aware how weak we all are in front of these things and are willing to help them, that you understand that he is drawn to these things, you understand that he feels attracted, that you understand that it's not easy to be different from his companions, in a sense that everybody has a smartphone when they are 7 and he has to wait 15 or something like that. But if you speak, fundamental thing is to speak. Help your children to speak with you about this. I see this with the seminarians. I mean, I find it essential. We need periods of total detox, having no access to these things. And after we can have further on moments in which we start using this reality, but always with a control, speaking about what we experience, speaking about the problems we meet. Because today going to school means to be connected with the internet. They let us not fool ourselves. So it's not simply not allowing the children to connect to internet in the house solves the problem. They go to school and they can connect in many other places. But to teach them to relate with you, to speak about what they experience, etc. So putting certain stops. It's not possible to use smartphone at the table. It's not possible to bring these things in the home, in the bedroom at night and things like that. This can be certain strict no. But after moving on slowly and accompanying them in this fight, that is a fight that we will have to face. For this, being aware that also in the communities there is this problem, and an instrument, a way are also these groups of the 12 steps can be something important. It's a problem we cannot ignore. I don't know if this was helpful, but I think I hand over the mic to Gianna, and in case we can comment on other things later on.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, it's very clear.
Okay. I try to speak in English. I don't speak English very well. I know only a few words, but I try. For first, I say thank you to Totò and Rita and Father Tony for this organization. I see that there is Seminario di Perth, Sydney, Brisbane, Broome, Darwin, Canberra, Melbourne, all the zone. And so it's so important that we speak about the group, about the situation, because it's really hard in this period to be sober with a lot of triggers. So when Father Mario asked to me what we can do, I proposed these 12 steps that I know along 35, 34 years. And someone asked to me, why do you know these groups? Because I was psychologist after, but I know this group because I had a lot of friends that have narcotics problems in the year 75, 80, and I try to help them, and so I knew Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous and Sex and Sexaholics Anonymous, and this fraternity was able to help for this addiction from 91 years that the program, the 12 steps program, helps people with the addictions, all the addictions, also gambling, also overeaters. There is the fraternity of Overeaters Anonymous that work a lot. So I see this now. I want to only present the service that we do. We have a number, my telephone number, that we give to the person who need an help. And they can call to me. If I can speak, because I know the language, I speak directly. But I have now a lot of people that is in the groups, but not everybody in the groups, but that they know the 12-step program and help me to introduce these persons in the group. We have, I think, 15, 17 languages. We can, but it's not so important the number of people that is in the group. It's important that now we have we have people that knows very well the 12-step program, because it's a lot of years that they are in the programs, and these people are our friends of community, are neocatechumenal friends. So they can help really better than a psychologist, better than a psychiatric, because they know the problem and they follow the friend in this program. But now we have also a team of doctors, psychiatric psychologists that help in other form where the 12 steps program cannot arrive. And also what Father Francesco said before is important, that this is a way to help, but is not the only way, but is a way that is so is in relation with the neocatechumenal way. And you can use this service only by phone, only via audio. We have anonymite, we are anonymous because we see that if a person can speak without say who I am, who is my community, my catechist, it's it's difficult for a person to open itself in the deep inside. So in the anonymous, if he is anonymous, he can speak, and he speak about himself, and this is really therapeutic for him. So we have the 12 steps program. Step 1, we admit the unmanageable of the life. Step 2, we began to believe that an high power can help us. What is this high power? It's something outside of me, probably, normally is God, but not only God, because also the group can help me to go to help me to take care of me, of my life. Then step 3, we ask to God to help in our life, not only for the addiction, only for the entire life. So we always go to our community. We always go to, we always pray. This is in our groups, because we are neocatechumenal way. We are neocatechumenal. Others are not, and maybe others in others group they do the way, the personal way to go to God. Then there is the steps of changement. From step 4 to step 10, we do a changement. And I speak now, and I'm saying we do, we believe, we admit, because the program is done together, not I do, I believe, we do, we believe. It's important this, because the person in the cure is not alone, Step 4 until step 10 is the step of changement. So I go inside my problem, emotive problem, because when I finish with the addiction, when I am abstinent, when I don't drink, I don't see pornography or something about my addiction, my emotive go
Emotional.
my emotional, ecco, bravo, se mi traduci, perché sto già arrivata alla fine. Le mie emozioni vengono fuori e bisogna cominciare a curarle.
She says, my emotions come out and we need to start curing them.
Ok? E attraverso la scrittura dei problemi.
Through writing about our own problems.
Attraverso la lettura di questi problemi a una guida nel programma.
Reading out what we have written to a tutor in the program.
E poi si lavora sui difetti, si fa l'elenco dei difetti.
We work on our own defects. We make a list of our own defects to recognize them.
E chiediamo a Dio che elimini tutti questi difetti dalla nostra vita.
We ask God to win, to overcome these defects in our life.
E poi c'è gli step di fare le ammende, cioè facciamo l'elenco delle persone lese e decidiamo di fare ammenda.
There are the steps in which we recognize the damage we have created to other people, and we even make a list of these concrete persons and see if there are concrete cases to whom we can make amend. In some cases it's not possible, but...
Sì, e l'ammenda non è solo chiedere perdono, l'ammenda a volte può anche essere risarcimento di danni.
Sometimes this amend is not just asking, say I'm sorry. Can be even to refund damages or things like that.
Quindi si fa sempre con estrema cautela, con l'aiuto delle guide del gruppo.
So this is done always very prudently and under the guidance of the leaders of the group.
E poi tutti questi passi che si imparano e che si fanno, si faranno costantemente nelle 24 ore. Ecco che si entra nel concetto del solo per oggi.
And later, all these different steps that are done over a long period of time, we will learn to relive them over every day, because in a sense, something that people are invited to say, I don't make a long plan of sobriety. I want to be sober today, day after day. Today I want to be sober and I want to fight. Tomorrow we will see.
Ok, giusto. E finalmente, appunto, applicando tutti questi passi nelle 24 ore, si mantiene la sobrietà.
And applying all these different steps in the 24 hours, we manage to keep sober.
E su questo poi dirò una cosa, intanto finisco i passi. Poi c'è il passo 11 dove aumentiamo il contatto cosciente con Dio in comunità.
Step 11 is to increase again our contact with God, conscious contact with God through the community itself.
E poi c'è il passo 12 dove applichiamo questi principi in tutti i campi della nostra vita.
And the step 12 in which we apply all these principles in the different areas of our life.
E portiamo il messaggio a chi soffre ancora.
And we bring these messages to people who are still suffering about these addictions.
Ecco, per non rimanere però nel discorso dell'illusione, è importante che si chiarisca una cosa.
Not to illude, to deceive ourselves, to be under an illusion, it is important to understand something.
E questo, come psicologa, lo posso dire non solo per i 12 passi, ma per tutte le dipendenze in tutti i programmi di recupero che esistono.
I can say this about all the recovery programs for all sorts of addictions.
Purtroppo la guarigione non è assicurata.
A total healing cannot be guaranteed. It's not assured at all.
Ci può essere sempre una ricaduta.
It's always possible to have a relapse.
Una delle prerogative del programma dei 12 passi è che gestisce le ricadute.
One of the characteristics, prerogatives of the 12 steps program is that it helps to handle relapses.
E quindi ogni giorno è buono per ricominciare da capo.
So that every day is good to start over again.
E si ricomincia tranquillamente dal primo passo.
So that we start again from the step 1. May I say something, because I mean to go back a little bit, because it was perhaps not so clear at the very beginning how how a person can get in contact with these groups. I mean, these groups that are not in themselves part of the way have been made available to brothers in the way. That's why offering a guarantee that what is done in these groups that connect somehow with Jannah are not going to say or do things that damage the brothers in their possibility of continuing the way. So these groups are made available to the brothers simply giving them this telephone number of Jannah. The person can call her using a nickname That's why it's anonymous. Doesn't need to say I am so and so and I come from that place. Obviously, the language is obvious, etc. But Jana has helpers that can help to deal with different languages. There is a minimum test that helps the person to realize the level of his dependency, of his addiction. And if the person decides and wants to start being part of a group, is offer some telephone contacts using Signal, is a platform, isn't it? Using this platform in order to be able to speak just the group is only by phone, is only in audio, it's not video group to protect anonymity. And is in the language of the person, is a group with a certain number. There are different times every day. A person can say, well, I can participate in this one, can also change from day to day. But it's important to be faithful in this. And each group has a referent, how do you call it in English? Whatever, and a tutor that helps the different people to go on. It's also important to know that inside the same group, this 10, 5, 20 people who call at the same time, the same number, not everybody is at the same step. There can be people who are beginning, people who are further on, people who are further on more. But all somehow share what they are experiencing, etc. And each one has his own tutor. A person can follow more than one, with whom personally, always anonymously, even still by phone, can go through the different steps. Start with step 1, decide when to pass with step 2, etc., etc. I say this because certain people having the experience of the way can see the group as a community that have first the first scrutiny, then the second, then the fourth, etc., etc. And they say, well, but if new people keep joining, we are always going back. That is something that also happens in certain places, but it's not that. The group is different from a community in that sense. There can be people at different stages in the process, and still the interaction is helpful. I wanted just to clarify these two things. Back to you, Gian.
Okay, grazie. Thank you, Francesco. I want to say another things because in this period we had a lot of request from people that have other problems, not only addiction, also bipolar or schizophrenic or others. So now we have a web of 70 psychiatric doctors and also nurse that help in this case. If we see that a person that is in the group, a friend, need another help, we can ask to this web of doctors to examine this case. Also for the minori, because Francesco, qui è meglio che mi traduci.
I will translate as she's speaking about with the minors. We have seen that the groups are not good for people under 18. First of all, because there are a lot of problems connected with permission by the parents, speaking too complicated, but also for them, they don't have this sort of regularity in participating in the groups. So it's better with the minors to deal with them on a one-to-one basis.
Anche possiamo dire che abbiamo avuto dei casi in cui abbiamo trattato il minore con 2 amici del gruppo, col consenso scritto dei genitori, e li stiamo seguendo individualmente con 2 o 3 guide del gruppo.
Also another way has been create a very small group with this minor and just two friends of the group with the written consent of the parents, and this has helped the minor who had fallen into a certain addiction to face it a little bit.
Oppure i minori li mandiamo a queste neuropsichiatre che abbiamo in questa rete di medici o anche psicoterapeute che ci aiutano.
Yes, I mean, also has been possible as long as we have people in the different places to refer these minors to this psychiatrist or psychologist that we have in different places, so they can speak directly with them.
A little different. We have groups for women, for men. Different. The women are friends of St. Mary Magdalene, women friends of St. Augustine, men. And then we have also the group for the marriage. It's a little experience for now, but we see that they can help in the marriage where one of the two have an addiction problem.
I explain this. I mean, Jan has been trying something that normally is not in the tradition of the AA groups with couples that are helpful when one of the couple is addicted to something, pornography often, and the wife or the husband needs to learn to help. But it's still a bit under experiment. The numbers are very small and we are seeing how it works.
Ok, Francesco, pensi che dobbiamo dire qualche altra cosa?
No, I think it's better that we listen to questions.
Ok.
Francesco, how do
You're speaking to everyone of Australia.
yes. He says, if someone wants to have to put a question, it must be an intelligent question that could be of interest to the others. We start from here in Sydney. If anyone who wants to have, someone has a question, can put his hand up, and I give you the microphone. After we can see from the other cities. How do we see, Eric, if someone in the other cities want to put a question? All right. Here, someone wants to put a question? One of the questions that I wanted to put is, as I said, this is necessary to distinguish, from people that falls sometimes from people that have an addiction, Francesco?
Well, yeah, it's not, obviously it's not the same thing. Unfortunately, nowadays, the problem of a sort of addiction is much more widespread than it used to be. If someone is not able to, let us say, in the tradition of the AA, a time of sobriety is considered when it is over 90 days. After, to give a number, obviously it can be something else. After 90 days without relapsing into something, one can say that person may start recovering a bit. All the chemical mechanisms in his body, in his dopamine things, etc., start readjusting a little bit. If you fall more often than every 90 days, you are making your condition worse. So in a sense, someone who falls again and again and again and again doesn't need to be falling every day. It depends also on the person. Can be a person that falls every 2 weeks that already has a form of addiction and manages to control it a little bit, but is never out. And maybe has to face it, not simply saying, okay, I stand up, but has to do something about it. I don't know if this answers the question.
Yes.
I want to add a little do the meeting. It's is really beautiful for the friend. It's not heavy. It's a really pleasure because la persona si sente sostenuta. La persona che fa il programma di recupero vuole fare il meeting e quindi a volte può fare il meeting solo perché si sente in crisi o si sente solo, e questo è buono perché abbiamo visto in tutto questo tempo che non lo allontana dalla comunità, tra l'altro, anzi gli fa venire il desiderio, se si è allontanato, di tornare in comunità. Questo è importante dirlo.
I mean, the group, the recovery group, is a support. Even it's not that as soon as a person starts seeing, well, now is a bit that I don't fall again into my problem, I don't need a group anymore. It's important to continue to receive this support, also because it's a way of supporting others and is a way of defending oneself in that sense. Ok, va bene.
Without putting rules.
Exactly.
Without putting rules, but in general, a person that discover that he needs should inform the catechist. In the sense for.
Well, I mean, I think it's a good, if he feels like doing it, I think it's always a good idea, because, I mean, to share a bit his problem, at least with the catechist, is good, not to feel divided inside if he's doing the way and after following the group. It's not compulsory that a person is sent to the group by the catechists. A person can come across the group in other ways, through another brother of the community, etc. But it's always a good thing that the catechists are involved, because they can help the person a bit to be faithful to the community, verify also what's happening, because it's something that is important to say. Groups are anonymous, so there is absolutely no possibility for Gianna or whoever else in the group to offer a feedback to the catechist. This person is improving, this person is, first of all, they don't know who the person is. They don't know who the catechists are, and they are somehow bound to anonymity and privacy. So it's important that the catechists who know that a person is going to the groups without obsessing him and calling him every day, but they should from time to time meet this person and see how are things going. Because you can see perhaps a person is starting with these groups and after gets tired and remains with this problem of addiction, and maybe he has to experiment with something else, for example, or a person needs to be encouraged or whatever. So you cannot expect that someone from the group calls the catechist saying, well, we don't see this bloke anymore, because there is no possibility of doing that.
Bert, do you want to put a question intelligent?
There are two questions, Toto.
Yeah, my question was in terms of the frequency of the sessions, how often they occur, if it's on a weekly basis or more, because I'm just imagining, for the people that call you, that it's quite compulsive behaviour. So when they fall, are they given tools to use?
And the frequency of how frequently
The therapist or the group straight away.
Tell them to come closer to the camera and to the microphone.
Francesco, hai capito?
No, I couldn't understand the question. I couldn't understand a word.
No. You have to come closer to the microphone. The one that put the question. In Perth, the one that put the question has to come closer.
Yes. Sorry.
Si è bloccato?
Perth si è bloccato, non so perché.
Che cosa hai capito?
the question was how often are the sessions? How often do you have to go? Because if you fall, you need a lot of support. I think the answer is daily. But I already said it 10 times.
Let us see if Perth resurrects.
Qual era la question?
How often are the contacts with the group?
Ah, quanto spesso c'è il contatto col gruppo?
Quanto spesso? How often are the
Francesco,
sessions?
chiudi.
Gianna, no, I can say, after Gianna can explain perhaps better, I say, in our experience, at the beginning, would be important that this contact is every day for a person who has a serious addiction. What does it mean every day? I mean, particularly in English, there are several groups during the day that can call each other, even with the different times in the world, etc. So there are groups in the morning, midday, evening, and a person tries to connect with this group possibly every day. Surely without living more than a couple of days between one call and the other. And every moment in which a person experiences a difficulty, experience that is tempted to fall back into watching pornography or drinking or similar things, there are also these SOS groups in which one can call and speak with another friend of the group that is available to say, well, I am in difficulty, tell me something, and doing this rendition, this surrender, say, well, by myself I cannot face this. And the other person can help and support him or her, saying, well, calm, change what we are doing, go out for a walk, do something, fighting really, because it's very, we know that the addiction, and we could say behind the addiction, the devil tries to trick us into going back to having in our hands that computer or that phone or that thing, and lure us into getting into it again, because he knows that if we fall into it again, well, it's much more difficult, we get discouraged, etc. So it's important that every time a person experiences a difficulty, can ask somebody to call, and the groups are available for that. I don't know if I have explained enough.
Sì, Francesco, anche direi, se lo vuoi dire tu in inglese, che possiamo anche organizzare delle riunioni aperte, cioè quando ci sono dei catechisti o dei medici che desiderano fare un meeting, si avvisa il gruppo che in tale data, a tale ora ci sarà una riunione aperta alla quale partecipa una persona che non ha dipendenza, ma che desidera vedere come funziona il metodo.
I translate this that Gianna said. It's also possible if a person wants to know how the system, how this method works, it's possible from time to time to organize also open sessions in which those who are present are informed that there is there a person who is not an addicted himself or herself, but simply is a doctor or a psychologist or whatever who wants to know how this thing works. She's saying this.
There was Darwin. Darwin, Malcolm, did you want to put a question?
No, we have no questions here, Toto.
Hey, come here, come here.
The groups that are created. The groups that are created, are they a group of people with all the same addiction or a group of people with different addictions in the one group?
This is an intelligent question.
Oh, watch. God does miracles.
No, because always the addiction is not only one. It's rare, come si dice, è raro che ci sia una persona che abbia una sola addizione. C'ha un'addizione principale, diciamo. Arrivi che c'è il problema dell'alcolismo. Poi dopo, curando l'alcolismo, ti accorgi che però c'hai un'altra dipendenza. E allora noi le curiamo tutte all'interno dei meeting. Trattiamo tutte le dipendenze. Del gioco, dell'alcol, della pornografia e al tempo stesso trattiamo le problematiche emotive e relazionali. Invece che fare i gruppi separati.
Gianna, aspetta, for me to understand before I translate. But normally in the group, at least initially, there is a group oriented more on one addiction than another.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, the groups begin with, it's a group that deals particularly with the problems of pornography, a group that deals specifically with problems of compulsive shopping, of gambling. But it's very important what Gianna said. Addictions are all connected. A person can easily stop watching pornography and start drinking and shift from one addiction to the other. So every group needs to be able to deal with all and to be aware that the thing of addiction is very tricky in this sense, that we can jump over from one to the other. To try to find the compensation we no longer find in pornography, to find it in buying things or in gambling. So you cannot save this group speaks exclusively about pornography, but obviously starts addressing the problem of pornography as the main problem of the people who are there.
The fact that you are saying that at the beginning you have to have every day, but these contacts are very long or short?
Gianna, in your experience.
Se puoi tradurre per favore, Totò.
Quando ho detto, no, quando lui ha detto questi incontri che diciamo che sarebbe buono averli tutti i giorni, ma quanto dura la sessione di un gruppo?
40 minuti, 45, è giusto quella delle 8 di mattina italiana che dura un'ora e mezza.
She says no, a normal session of a group is 40 minutes, 45 minutes. It's just the one, an Italian one at 8 o'clock in the morning where people seem to have more time and more willing to speak, that they tend to go on 1 hour and a half. But
Stamattina erano 25.
They were a group of 25 and they went on more. Gianna is spending hours looking after all these groups.
He said, when you have to contact the groups, you are in contact with one group, but can you, if the problem of the time of the different times, you can contact also another group, or you have to do always with the same one?
You can se ho capito bene la domanda, dici se uno deve entrare sempre allo stesso orario nel gruppo, può cambiare gruppo.
Sì.
Può cambiare gruppo e può cambiare anche lingua. Alcuni fanno sia il gruppo inglese che il gruppo italiano. Alcuni fanno il gruppo spagnolo e il gruppo italiano, alcuni fanno sia il gruppo spagnolo che quello inglese, cioè
Gianna, però per cambiare gruppo ha bisogno di un altro numero, come fa a
No,
cambiare?
no, già lo inseriamo noi, c'è tutta una rete su Signal dove noi l'abbiamo già inseriti, no? Poi dopo loro chiedono a me se possono essere messi anche nel gruppo spagnolo, io lo faccio, lo tengo presente a referente che lo inserisce nel gruppo.
Non si è capito. I am, the question I understand is, can a person change group? I am normally with the group of 8 o'clock in the morning, and one day I cannot do the 8 o'clock in the morning, but I still need to go to a group. May I join the group of 2 o'clock in the afternoon? Or I have to pass through you?
No. Una volta che sei dentro nel gruppo puoi entrare a qualsiasi orario.
So if one is enrolled with a group of a certain language, that group has scheduled a series of meetings, that language has a series of meetings along the day. And one can, with the same number and same connection, join with those who meet at 8, or those who meet at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or those who meet at 7 o'clock in the evening. I am correct. Am I correct, Gianna?
Sì, è corretto, è corretto.
Molto bene. Non so se c'è qualche altra domanda intelligente, anche non così tanto. Non ho capito. I didn't understand what you want to say, Mark. No. Yeah. Francesco, Gianna, to contact the groups, we need a telephone, with just a telephone. With internet?
Sì.
To contact the group with a telephone. But another thing, there is no report, nel senso the group is in itself. Il gruppo non è che riporta le cose dette a altri gruppi o al mentor. No.
Proibito.
Ecco.
Proibito. È una grande trasgressione fra gli amici fare questo. Non si usa. Non si riporta fuori quello che viene detto nel gruppo e non viene riferito ad altri che sono fuori dal gruppo che non hanno sentito.
Totò, I translate to this, also to the other question. First of all, whatever is said in the group remains in that group. No one speaks with others about what has heard in the group. It's a very, very serious fault. And we see that people understand this because everybody needs to defend his own privacy, even if without the name of the person, but even to say, there was one who said this or one who said that. No, absolutely not. The other question, Totò, you were putting, in order to participate to a group, you need a phone. yes, you need a phone that can be connected with internet. Then somebody says, well, but this can be a problem. Is I want to avoid the temptation of being connected with internet, and now I need a phone connected with internet. How can we do that? I mean, Gianna, as together with someone, has seen there are people who are able also to help to block a phone and to make it able to connect only with this signal that allows to participate in the groups, but not to go and do other things if a person feels that needs that sort of help. Correct, Gianna?
Sì, abbiamo abbiamo questo servizio per bloccare i telefoni. Oramai sono 7 anni, abbiamo molti servizi aggiuntivi al meeting.
Someone is asking, this service is gratis?
Yes, it's gratis, the service of the group, of the contact, but if a person need a psychiatric or a psychotherapeutic, not only one, but for a lot of time, this is an accord with the psychiatric, with the psychologist.
Person. It's a personal...
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Francesco, Gianna, I speak in the sense that all the groups are listening to me. I think that is important for the catechist, for the presbyters. Francesco, correct me if I'm wrong. That to having come to know that there are some of the situation, to suggest to the different people if it's necessary or not, if they feel they need to do this. And I have the number of Gianna, and who needs this, the catechist, the presbyter that needs this contact, they can speak to me and I will pass the contact. And I am having had experience a bit of this. I am full of hope that through this, people can come out, being helping the community to become Christian, and through this experience to come out from this slavery of the addiction, that they may come to know Christ and to live a happy life. Do I say well, Francesco?
Yes, definitely. I think that, I mean, even priests who find themselves listening to these things in confession, etc., and it's important to be able to say to a person that falls over and over again into certain things, well, you need some help. Often, if that person feels the first help can be speaking with a catechist, etc., is always a good step to come out of themselves in this sense. But after, one of the advices can be to take part in these groups. But to come out of this, well, I will solve these problems by myself. And also, we need to be aware that there are certain things that we cannot simply solve by praying, etc. I mean, that is good, but I mean, when certain mechanisms start working in our psyche, in our reward system, in our dopamine and all these things, it become what is called an addiction. So it's something that needs a sort of therapy. Being in a group, facing this thing constantly, having to surrender, to call for help every time I am tempted and I am facing. Do I want to overcome this thing or not? Am I ready to call for help with someone just speaking and say, I am tempted in this moment? Maybe the other person is also only listening, but also that already helps you, gives you more strength to face that temptation in that moment. So really coming out of this secrecy, of this hiding ourselves, will be already an immense help.
Is not part of the neo-catechumenal way. Is a help that is given to the brothers that have in this situation in a friendly environment where the people that run these 12 steps are aware that the people that they come from the community, so they have a certain approach to that. No, Francesco?
Yes, we understand a certain language, etc. is common, is okay. I mean, no problem, and always respecting what are the things of the way, etc., etc.
È un po' come se una persona va a farsi una chemio e va in un ospedale, in un ambulatorio a fare la chemio. Non è che quell'ambulatorio fa parte del cammino neocatecumenale. È un ambulatorio esterno dove la persona va per curarsi, e così i gruppi sono come ambulatori esterni dove si curano le dipendenze, molto ben strutturati e che molto si agganciano bene col cammino neocatecumenale. Per questo è stata fatta questa scelta.
Yeah, Gianna is saying, I mean, a group is like one goes to a hospital for chemotherapy. It's not that that hospital is part of the way. I mean, it's a therapy. This group is a therapy. But it's being something that is much connected with our life, the temptations, spirituality, etc., needs to be aware that a person is in the way, and in whatever is said and done respects this thing of the way. At the same time, without mixing, without overlapping. Well, but my catechist have said so, but I say different, all the things like that is absolutely avoided, otherwise it would be a mess.
Che dicevi, no? Jack, what?
This problem affects us all,
Yes.
directly or
Yes.
children or friends.
Yes.
Is there some help that maybe guidelines that can help young parents, young catechists, or
He said at the beginning, that those are the guidelines, this fact of doing a covenant between family, supporting one another. Francesco e Gianna, thank you very much. Grazie Gianna, siamo riusciti a fare questo incontro.
Grazie a voi, veramente. Grazie anche a Francesco.
Non è stato facile, abbiamo messo un anno.
Vabbè, però è fatto bene.
Ma ci siamo riusciti.
Va bene.
Bene.
Grazie.
Grazie a voi. Ciao
Buon
a
pranzo per voi.
Ciao a tutti, ciao.
Ciao. Fratelli di tutta Australia, brother and sister all Australia, go to sleep. Good night.
Ciao.
Ciao.